Yes, people, how's it going? Welcome back to Lily White Lane. Hope you're all doing good, or as good as you can be after yesterday's. It was a disgraceful performance, and it was a shocking performance. I was shocked, and I think most Spurs fans were shocked. You know, you go from beating Manchester City at home in a tremendous, brilliant, performance where going forward we look so good defensively, we look so strong, and then collapsing and conceding 4 and losing away to Leicester. I just couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. But I should have expected it when I saw the lineup. I should have expected it when I saw Tanganga, Dyer and Davies. You know, one decent player picks up an injury or has a suspension and we crumble. We absolutely crumble. Romero is a leader in the back line. I'll say one thing about Romero. He makes Dyer, he makes Davies, he makes both of them players look a lot better than they actually are. Because when there's no Romero, there's no commanding, there's no communication, and the defence just absolutely crumbles. Like a chocolate digestive being dunked in tea. It absolutely crumbles. You know, without Romero. And we saw it again yesterday. You know, Dyer, Davies, Tanganga, there was no communication, and Dyer just, he looks a completely different player without Romero. It's that goal, and it's an aspect of his game that's brought around, and I know why it is brought around, because he never used to do it. It was after that 1-1 draw against Newcastle in lockdown under Jose, and one of the most disgraceful handball decisions was given against Dyer, and since then this guy constantly backs off players and constantly defends with his hands behind his back because he's so concerned, about getting a handball decision or something like that, and it's been costing us goals since. It's been cost us a goal yesterday, just backing off Enoch for about 10 seconds, giving him space and letting him line up a shot to make it 3-1 heading into half-time. If Enoch doesn't make it 3-1 heading into half-time, we head in 2-1 down, and that's a world of a difference. It's a completely different team talk at half-time. We could have come back and won that game. But instead we go in at half-time 3-1 down because of some atrocious defending from that back line. And that is down to Enoch and Levy. It is down to Enoch and Levy. People go, oh, they can't control Romero getting a suspension. No, but they can control the backup that comes in when we are missing a crucial player. Romero gets an injury or suspension, our defence crumbles. We've conceded more goals this season than Everton. How is that possible? Our defence absolutely crumbled. Absolutely crumbled yesterday. And it was painful to see. Forster, he could have saved a couple of them. Everyone had an off day. I think as fans we do need to get behind the team. We do need to get behind them on Tuesday. It's a huge Champions League game. And I think we do just need to accept that yesterday was a massive off day. It highlighted the issues at Spurs, and then at the same time I think it grounded us a little bit. I think we got a bit too excited. I was seeing videos on YouTube saying, could Spurs, be in a title charge? And I think yesterday grounded us a little bit. Grounded us to say, hang on, title charge, Lucky enough, results have gone our way. Massively gone our way. Chelsea have dropped points. Even though we've been, not brilliant this season, they're 8 points off us. Liverpool are still yet to play. Newcastle dropped points away at Bournemouth. Results have gone our way. So as bad as yesterday's performance, was, we're only 2 points off top 4, I think. Only 2 points off top 4. 1 win and 1 draw for Newcastle, or 1 win from us and 1 loss from Newcastle, and bang, we're right back in the Champions League places. But if, you guys tell me in the comments, is that even a success? If we narrowly scrape Champions League again this season, people will be cheering, whereas it's the exact same thing as we did last season. The whole point of getting top 4 last season was to kick on this season, and we haven't. It's looked pretty much exactly the same as last season, where there's no consistency in our performances, no consistency in the team, and you just don't know what Spurs are going to turn up. You really don't know what Spurs are going to turn up, and we saw that yesterday. Just a very, very poor performance. Very poor performance, and it hurt. It really did hurt. It hurt to watch that, Fair play to Leicester. I think you've got to give them credit. There's no way we should be conceding 4, and if we played better, we would have beaten them. It's as simple as that. If we played like we did against City, we would have beaten them. But they're turning their season around. They were having some really poor performances and really bad games. They got a big draw against Brighton. You know, beat Aston Villa 4-2, have been really hard to break down under Emery, and then went and beat us 4-1. They've scored 8 goals in 2 games. But we shouldn't have allowed them to do that yesterday. The first goal, there's nothing you can do about that. That's a great strike. The next 3, atrocious defending. And I think we got to talk about Pedro. The guy was horrendous yesterday. He was absolutely horrendous. He did a couple of good things going forward, but his positional awareness and defensive awareness yesterday, it was god awful. But if you're going to blame him for that loss, if you're going to blame him for that performance, I don't understand where you're coming from. I really don't understand where you're coming from. It's the boy's debut. It's the boy's debut. And was he really at fault for any of our goals? Although he did so many bad things in the game. No. You look at all of those goals, it's down to pretty much Dyer, Tanganga and Davies' horrific defending. You know, and horrific tracking back. But what I will say on Pedro Porro is it's the guy's debut. But I think on Tuesday now we need to start Emerson. I really do think we need to start Emerson. And that might sound crazy to some people. But this is my theory on it. I thought Porro would work yesterday because it's a game where we need to dominate possession and this and that. But for bigger games, I think Emerson does need to come in because he's always done all right against the top teams. You know, you look at last season, that 1-1 draw away at Anfield, the guy was brilliant. Manchester City, the guy was arguably man of the match last week, you know. He steps up in the big games and he's horrendous, you know, against the mid-table and lower side. So for me, I'd start Emerson on Tuesday, and all focus has to be on Tuesday. You know, we can rant and rave and talk about everything that's happened and how bad it is and how bad the situation is. But the truth is, we've got a huge Champions League game on Tuesday. We're playing Milan, and you look at Milan's form, it's not much better than ours. It isn't much better than us. They lost 5-2 to some mid-table Italian farmers last week. You know, they're a beatable side. They are a beatable side, Milan. And we head to the San Siro on Tuesday. It'll be interesting to see the response. The most important thing for me is that Romero's back. That guy's absolutely crucial. What scares me, though, is that Romero isn't back for West Ham. Is that going to be another traipsing? Will it be different because we're at home? You know, there's just so many questions to ask. So many questions to ask. So many bad performances and bad things to point out yesterday. I think you have just got to label it as a horrific day. A horrific day. A horrific day, you know, from Spurs. As much as the owners are at fault in general for the situation right now and the fact we didn't win yesterday because we don't have decent enough backups to replace Romero, everyone had an off day. Kane had an off day. Kulu had an off day. Son had an off day. Bentancur had an off day, although he scored, you know. It was just a horrific day at the office. So I'm hoping we can step up on Tuesday. That's a big game. And, you know, beat Milan, get a point, or not a point even, but get a draw away at the San Siro and play the second leg at home. All of a sudden there's a bit more confidence around the team, you know. But it's very hard to get confident right now when Tottenham's like a seesaw, you know. Big win, massive loss, big win, massive loss. Huge win against Manchester City, confidence boosting, fans getting slightly carried away, including me, and we get brought back down to ground. In positive news, Arsenal drop points. Shame about the Arsenal. I shouldn't really be bantering them because they're fighting for the title whilst we're struggling to get into the Champions League. But look, Arsenal drop points. Look, we do need to step up on Tuesday. Very poor day at the office. Everyone horrific. There's only one way, you know, we can respond to it. Only one way we can respond to it, by stepping up and putting in a very decent performance. I do want to apologise about yesterday's, you know, match reaction as well. I absolutely went off on one. It was pure emotion, raw emotion. I said a couple of things and got a bit carried away, which I don't like to do. But it comes out when you're angry after a performance like that. But look, I do apologise about that. Thank you for watching this video. Take care of yourselves. All the best. God bless. And as always, come on you Spurs. In Conte we trust. Enoch and Levy